Welcome back to today's Explainer. We've all heard of ultimatums, right? But today, we're unpacking the anatomy of a truly dramatic, high-stakes relationship moment. Have you ever wondered what happens when someone pushes the absolute ultimate button in a partnership, not because they actually want the relationship to end, but just to see what happens? Well, today we're breaking down the psychology and the completely shocking fallout of exactly that scenario, straight from our source material.
Okay, let's dive into this. The core question we're tackling today is, what happens when bluffs fail? You know, in high-stakes poker, a failed bluff just means you lose your chips for the night. But in a marriage, testing a partner with the ultimate ultimatum, the threat of divorce, carries consequences that are far, far more permanent. What actually happens when you drop the ultimate bomb, completely expecting a fierce, passionate battle for your love, and instead, you're met with absolutely zero resistance? Moving into Section 1, the divorce test, let's look at this fatal strategy.
Our source material breaks down this incredibly dangerous move, asking for a divorce merely as a test to force a partner to wake up and fight for the relationship. And right at the center of this phenomenon is what's called the blindsided hook. It's that shocking, stomach-dropping moment of a partner's completely unexpected non-reaction to a severe threat. You issue it expecting a massive fight that validates your importance, but that fight simply never materializes.
All right, Section 2, the empowered illusion. Let's talk about psychological control.
Let's step inside the mindset of the person actually initiating this bluff. On one hand, there's this profound, almost exhilarating feeling of control, often bolstered by therapy. They feel defiant, empowered, and totally confident they know exactly how the situation is going to play out. But then, crash. Look at the stark physical reality we're faced with. A man literally walking out the door with a single suitcase. That empowered illusion vanishes in an absolute instant.
Which brings us to Section 3, the shocking non-reaction, where the trap completely fails.
So, the trap is set. The ultimate threat has been dropped. Just imagine the intense, suffocating silence right after that threat is issued. The initiator is sitting there, waiting for the explosion, the tears, the desperate bargaining, and instead, they get okay. Just one word. The chilling simplicity of that response honestly carries way more weight than an hours-long screaming match ever could. It is the sound of a bluff not just being called, but entirely bypassed. No negotiation, no fighting back, just a devastatingly simple acceptance of the terms.
Now, what's really interesting here is this blaring mental warning sign flashing in the initiator's mind. He didn't fight. The whole strategy, the entire setup, was built on the premise of an emotional tug-of-war. So, the shocking realization that he simply refused to even pick up his end of the rope, it completely and utterly shatters the initiator's reality.
Moving right along to Section 4, the final departure. Physical reality sets in.
So, the crucial point is that the psychological game ends right here. Cold, physical reality takes over with blinding speed. The exit, as outlined in our source, is literal. It's walking right out of that door. And notice the key detail, carrying just a single suitcase. He doesn't pack up the whole house. He doesn't stick around to argue about logistics. That single suitcase represents immediate, undeniable action. It's a clean, absolute break, moving away permanently without even a second glance.
The source material uses a brilliant visual metaphor to really hammer this concept home, the red arrow of finality. Just imagine a bright red line pointing directly at his back as he walks away. There is zero ambiguity here. That arrow doesn't curve back towards the house, it doesn't loop around to a future conversation or couples therapy, it points in exactly one direction, outward. It underscores just how permanent this departure really is. The test wasn't just failed, it literally ended the entire relationship.
And that brings us to our fifth and final section, the immediate regret, focusing on the fallout.
Let's move through this timeline and see exactly how this builds. Step 1, feeling empowered, thinking you are in total control. Step 2, actually issuing the test out loud. Step 3, receiving that chilling non-reaction that completely shatters the illusion. And finally, Step 4, immediate regret. The dust settles almost instantly in a very quiet house. According to our source, this exact non-reaction is the trigger for devastating emotional whiplash. It's a rapid, irreversible plunge from feeling in total control straight down into the harsh reality of sudden loneliness.
Which leaves us staring at the central question to take away from today's explainer. Is testing a relationship ever really worth the fatal risk? The divorce bluff might just be the absolute most dangerous gamble a person can make in a partnership. You might throw out the threat fully expecting your partner to fight tooth and nail for you, to desperately prove your worth.
But, as we saw in the source material today, you have to be prepared for the terrifying possibility that they might simply look at you, grab a single suitcase, say, okay, and literally never look back. Thanks for joining me to unpack this one. Until next time, keep analyzing and keep questioning.